Hey, what's up? I'm CJ Maurer, the founder of The Gist. We are an organic growth agency and certified HubSpot solutions partner. I have Stas with me here, who is a local EOS implementer, and we are doing a real HubSpot strategy session. We do these all the time. This is the first time we've ever recorded it. So what we thought would be a great idea is for all of you who are interested in how CRM planning and implementation starts, well, here you are, be a fly on the wall. We're gonna get started. So first of all, Stas, thank you so much.
Thanks, CJ.
Appreciate your time.
I appreciate it, man.
This is the first time we've met in person.
Right.
We had 2 phone calls leading up to this. Somebody gave you the name of my agency, you called, we reached out, we had this idea because we're both, also interested in connecting, but also making content for our respective businesses. So this really works out. Got to begin with the end in mind, right? Just like anything, CRM is a tool. A tool is only as effective as your ability to wield it. Different jobs require different tools, which means different businesses require different implementations of a CRM. So I'm just going to begin. Why don't you tell me about your business? This is going to be the one area where you may have to repeat some things to me that you told me over the phone. But help me understand your business before we even get into CRM.
Right. No, and great spot to start. So EOS is the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and we as EOS implementers exist to help business owners get everything that they want from their business. So I am a teacher, facilitator, coach. I help you get vision, figuring out where you want to go, how you want to get there. Traction, helping you actually make what you want true. And healthy, helping you with your leadership team, making sure everybody's open, honest, rowing the boat in the same direction to make the business run. Proven system invented, 20 years ago. Gino Wickman wrote the book Traction, and there's about 836 EOS implementers around the planet. My cohort 4 years ago had the 400th implementer, so we have more than doubled in the last 4 years. And it's awesome. I've worked with 57 different companies that are in different areas of implementation. Some have graduated, some are still implementing. It's about a 2-year process to fully implement EOS.
Okay, so let's make sure we fully understand the services. So this is a kind of like a project, an intensive project. If I'm hiring you to implement EOS for me, right? I'm assuming that it's not always, I understand from what I know about EOS that there is a specific process and order of operations, but I would also assume that it's probably not exactly the same for everybody.
It is, that's the beauty of this thing. So we have a proven process. That proven process should be popping up on the screen now if Airplane works properly.
Okay. Yeah, here it goes.
There it goes. Beautiful. So, 90-minute meeting, right? 90 minutes of my time on my dime, helping business owner understand, learn about us, I learn about you, I show you the tools, and then I show you this process, right? At the end of the 90 minutes, you have a ton of actionable stuff that you can take away right away. If you want to implement, we go for a focus day. This is a 7-hour day, plus or minus an hour. Okay? Focus day, we talk about hitting the ceiling of the 5 leadership abilities. I help you create your accountability chart. We create a set of rocks, which are 90-day priorities. In this case, 60-day. I show you the level 10 meeting pulse, and we take a first cut at your scorecard. Right? Starts the same way with everybody. Our target market is companies between 10 and 250 employees, and they're entrepreneurially minded, looking to get better, faster, stronger.
You said 10 to 200?
10 to 250.
10 to 250. Okay.
It works. Sometimes it works for smaller. It depends on the team, depends on their growth trajectory. Occasionally works for larger. But our sweet spot, right? If I draw that bell curve, that part of the brontosaurus, 10 to 250.
10 to 250. Got it.
Then we move into vision building. Right, so once we have focus day, 30 days go by, you're running level 10 meetings, you're checking in on your rocks, you're seeing if your scorecard is helping you. Then we get into vision building. So we review focus day tools for the first half of the day, and then we do some vision work on, these are the 8 questions of the Vision Traction Organizer. That's our vision component.
Okay.
We work on core values, core focus, 10-year target for your company. Go away for 30 days. We review more of the focus day tools, and then we start with marketing strategy, 3-year picture, 1-year plan. We turn in the rocks that we created on focus day, create a new set of rocks, and then 90 days go by and we are in our 90-day world.
Is this 90 days from start, or is it 90 days after the vision building?
This is 90 after the vision building. So
Okay.
if this is day 1, day 31, day 61, day 151.
Okay, so almost 6 months,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
five-ish months. Okay, now, does everybody follow that in the approximate same timeline?
Yes. So these 30-day bits right here, try to keep them to 30 days, 25 to 45. Works, depends on schedules, depends on when people start.
Okay.
For the most part, you're done with these foundational days inside of your first 90 days.
So is this really easy for you to propose because the services are all clearly defined, the process is the same? It's not like, in the very early days when I started my agency, I was, every single prospect that came to me, I was writing a custom proposal. No,
I do one thing.
you do literally one thing, just literally this thing.
I implement EOS for companies, period, full stop.
Okay, that is insanely advantageous.
Yes, it is.
As you're probably aware by the clients that you work with, we have not implemented EOS. It's on my radar. It's another one of the reasons why we're talking. But I know enough about it to understand what it generally does and why businesses are compelled to try it. Regardless of whether you're using EOS or not, a lot of businesses are really trying to productize their service offerings, because that's really, and this is an anecdote that I'll bring back to like why this relates to your CRM. But one of the things that I've learned as a small business owner is there are different skills required depending on the life cycle of the business. Early on, when you start a business, it's all sales and marketing, right? Right? As long as you have some type of, whether you call it proof of concept, product market fit, whatever, like, can you offer something of value? And then presumably once you can, it's just about getting work in the door, right? It's almost like that survival instinct. But then if you're lucky enough where the business grows and you realize, oh, okay, we can get the work and we can do the work, and we are now running on at least some of our own momentum, it's a completely different skill set. It's all about scalability, systemizing everything, processizing, whatever.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you need skills of systems and operations. And sometimes the visionary sales and marketing type founder doesn't really have those.
Well, because it's a huge focus shift, right? Like I've been an entrepreneur since I was 13 years old, right? So I'm in the business, focused on me, focused on doing the things. I don't work, I don't eat, period. Entrepreneurial doer. The key is the shift to entrepreneurial leader, where you're no longer worried about the who, where you're no longer worried about the what, now you're worried about the who. Mm-hmm. Who are my people? What are my processes? What can people do? How can I distribute what I'm doing? How do I elevate myself to my highest and best use? I was talking to a friend and client the other day, and he was talking about admin staff and this and that. And the other thing I said, every single time you lick a stamp, you are hurting yourself and your company. Because number one, you're doing work at a level, like you're paying a lot of money for somebody to lick a stamp, number one. Number two, your opportunity cost is crazy. Mm-hmm. I said, so every time you look at a piece of mail, I want you to remember that. He's like, great, thanks. I'm like, well, it's true. Don't lick stamps. Whereas when you started your business, you were like, I lick all the stamps around here.
Yeah, you do whatever. You wear it as like a badge of honor, right?
Yeah.
Like
I'm so busy.
I'm so committed to this that I'll do whatever it takes, until all of a sudden that do whatever it takes mindset starts hurting you, because you should be spending your time other places. You need to free up your team, train them, trust them, mentor them, right?
Yeah.
I think I know what you're going to say, but what does it take for a business to go from the entrepreneurial doer to the entrepreneurial leader? in your opinion?
Trust in systems, you know. So I'm from the Soviet Union, so I always use the famous Ronnie and Gorby, trust but verify. I trust my team. I empower them. They get it, they want it, they have the capacity to do it. Go do it. It's awesome. But I want to see a scorecard. I want to be on, so we always talk about the tropical island test for the scorecard. The tropical island test is you're on a tropical island and it's 4 p.m. on a Friday and you're about to fly home and a guy runs out and says, the villa you're staying in has just become available. The people that were supposed to come in, they're not coming, it's already paid for. Can you stay? And you're like, yeah, let me look at my scorecard. So you look at your scorecard, and based only on 7 to 13 numbers, 13 weeks at a glance, you're able to say, yeah, you know, everything's good here. Here you go. You don't have to turn your head.
Oh, thanks. Keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. So that's the thing. Like, that's the value of a scorecard. So how do you go from an entrepreneurial doer where you know everything? I know what stage this deal is at because I just talked to Bob, and I know, you know, Mike is almost ready to decide, and it's good, and like pipeline value and the whole, like, it's in between your ears. You're like, yeah, you know, I think I'm probably going to win 2 or 3 of these, and it's good, and I need to do this, I need to bring that guy on and bring that guy on and blah, blah, blah. Once you scale, you're done. You need systems. That's why we're having a conversation about CRM.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this is perfect. I love, you probably figured it out by virtue of me asking the question, but a common misconception that people have about CRMs is generally their thinking about what and expectations about what a CRM should do for them is very restrictive. They think, okay, I need a CRM I need all my contacts in one place, and I need data on them, and I need to generate some reports. And yes, garden variety CRM should accomplish that. But I think we need to actually challenge what we think a CRM should do for us. I think our CRM should actually be an instrument for growth and precisely the tool that can help a company embed those systems that they need to scale.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are selling themselves short, quite frankly, by not making their CRM. And by the way, even if it's not HubSpot, right?
No,
I think HubSpot is the better fit for most small to medium sized companies, but I'm speaking platform agnostically. Like if you're on Zoho or Salesforce or Pipedrive, like whatever, like your CRM should do these things, and if it doesn't, you either need to improve it or find a new CRM. Right. So tell me about your team though. Okay, so hold on. Actually, before you do that, so you find small to medium sized businesses, 10 to 250 certainly qualifies as that. I'm sure you've worked with smaller and larger.
Right.
And you do this approximately 5 to 6 month project. It's clearly defined. It's the same every time. And that's kind of the point, right?
Right.
Because you're trying to teach them to clearly define their own processes and follow them. Is this a fixed cost? You don't have to tell me what it is. Is it like a fixed flat fee? How is pricing on it?
A couple of little corrections. It is not a project per se. It is a process. So the key differentiator there is a project has a start and an end and a price. A process, we have no agreements, no contracts. It is all at will. It is scheduled. I schedule my clients a year out. Whoops. And generally a year out. And what we do is once we get through these foundational days, that's when we get into this 90-day world, and we keep spinning and spinning and spinning in this 90-day world, getting together every quarter for quarterly pulsing. Because once I've taught you the machine, now we go in and we continuously optimize. So as a teacher, facilitator, and coach, a lot of teacher happens in focus day, vision building 1, vision building day 2. A lot of facilitation, a little bit of coaching. When we shift into the 90-day world, it's all coach, facilitator, and a little bit of teacher. Right? You create a goal. I come back 90 days later. I'm like, where is it? Well, no. Like, where is it? What happened? Let's do a postmortem on why this goal did not get done. Let's figure that out. So the goal is to get to 80% strong in the 6 key components of EOS. Right? Vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction. Get to 80% strong in the 6 key components of EOS, and you're ready to graduate. There are 3 modes of graduation. There's the way my kids graduated from university, right? I kick them out. I'm like, you're off the payroll. Good luck. Go do it. Thankfully, they're doing it. The other mode is annual only, where a company will run their own quarterlies, but will bring me back for an annual. That's awesome because that's like old home stays, right? Like you get, because with these clients, I'm with them for 2-3 years. We become pretty tight. I get really ingrained in their business. I really care deeply about what they're doing, and then when they graduate, it's sort of like, now what? But the ones that sign up for annual only, it's awesome because I get to see them every year. And then I have a few clients I have one client that's like 96% strong. And I'm like, you are ready to graduate. I have no new tools to teach you. He's like, nope. He's like, I need you to keep coming in. He goes, because I know when you're coming in, I'm going to hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
I'm like, great. If that works for you.
So when somebody signs up for this, they don't necessarily know at the time how long they're going to be.
Generally, our rule is 80% of your clients have to be ready to graduate within 2 years. So it's 10 sessions.
Okay.
So 10 full day sessions. EOS implementers charge between $4,500 and $20,000 per session. There's one or two guys.
And you bill per session.
I bill per session. So I'm depending on when this is going to air, but like I'm billing at $7,500 a session. So that's my standard fee. And every year it goes up by $500.
Yeah, normal.
Yeah, so I'm sort of in that middle range, and
So okay. Now, do you have any current mechanism for managing all of your clients that are in this process?
oh my God, yes. So there's this piece of software called 90.io, which is what we use to run, help run the sessions. They run their level 10 meetings in it. It's an awesome piece of kit. Then I have Tammy, who is my implementation director. We have a proven process of how we handle, prospects, warm leads, 90-minute meetings, the whole thing. I have a pipeline built out from prospect to warm lead to 90-minute meeting scheduled to 90-minute meeting completed to closed won, closed lost. So that's my pipeline.
And then once it's closed one, it goes into 90.io?
Yep.
Is there anything that you do currently in HubSpot after it's closed one?
No, and that's one of the things that I want to do because I've done some deep analysis on my on the 57 clients that I've worked with. I went through and I did a postmortem on how I got all of them. So now I have all of the data of where they came from. I have the pie charts of how
most of them were referrals.
Most of them were referrals. Because if I do really good work in the room, there is always someone that goes, geez, I notice you're golfing a lot more. And you're like, yeah. You know what? I got this guy and that guy and that guy. They're running the business. It's great. I'm not chained to it anymore. And the question is, how'd you do that? And you get the call Stas. I don't do any cold outreach at all. I have, I just don't.
It's you and Tammy.
Tammy and me. That's it.
Lean and mean.
Lean and mean.
That's good. That's right there exhibiting the benefit of systems.
Yeah, she's perfect at her job. Like, absolutely perfect.
Okay. Can I get the whiteboard up here?
Yeah, absolutely.
You've seen this drawing from HubSpot before, or maybe you have. What HubSpot said a long time ago is they said, everybody knows the funnel, right?
Is that Google Chrome right there? Is that the Chrome logo?
It does look just like the Chrome logo. These are actually meant to be arrows, so I did not realize how emblematic of Chrome that was. Everybody knows about the funnel, right? Because when people first think about CRM, specifically HubSpot, they think sales and marketing, they think growth, right? And what we need to do is challenge how growth actually happens. And you just proved it in your last statement about how most of your clients come to you. So funnel right here, right? The reason why the idea of thinking about growth like a funnel is broken is because it is one direction, and we know that relationships are way more complicated and nuanced than that. But also, it views customers as the output or the afterthought. Like, cool, you get like leads, marketing generates leads, sales works them, proposals, whatever, boom, and out drop a couple of customers. Cool, job is done. No. Because if you do your job right, the customers will actually be at the heart of your growth. So C, customers. So let's start by thinking in a way that we know is intuitive to all of us. Solve for the customer. And then let your marketing and your sales and your customer service, revolve around that in concert. So it's the idea of moving from the funnel to the flywheel.
Okay, so you know what I love about that? Is before I became an EOS implementer, I was a fractional chief marketing officer.
I'm listening.
And what I talked about, so there's the old AIDA model, AIDA, attraction, interest, decision, and action. And I said, okay, but that doesn't really work for me. And what I developed was the water wheel model, which is from awareness to discovery, attraction, interaction, purchase, and then into use, cultivation, and advocacy. And that's the thing that keeps driving it, because it's the advocacy that cultivates more use and cultivates more attraction.
Yes, that's a great diagram. That's a great diagram.
So you can see my limited artistic ability. But yeah, so I absolutely believe that it's the output from the bottom of the funnel that is a water wheel that drives that.
I'm going to eventually erase all this. Yeah, and so for that reason, this is why I want people to think about growth from the inside out. Start with your customers, So what's amazing is that the way you deliver your services is very similar to a pipeline. And different companies use pipelines for different things. Everybody has a sales pipeline. But a lot of times we use pipelines to track customer onboarding or just reactionary customer service, If you're a type of business that opens up where your customers will open up a support ticket for you. You might have new, waiting on us, waiting on them, out for review, closed, or whatever it might be, So this idea of pipeline-based thinking could be super, super beneficial. Now, I'm going to start sketching a sample pipeline here. And I don't know why, but squares is like the easiest way for me to start thinking about this, So let's say this is your sales pipeline, You have new, That's your first stage, whatever, we'll just call it new. This one, let's say, would be exploratory complete. We're going super simple here, So this is new, this is exploratory complete. Maybe for you, this is your 90-day complete. This is proposal sent. This would be lost, and here we have one. So I don't know what your pipeline looks like. We'll take a look at it. We don't have to right now. But your pipeline could conceivably look like this, And
Absolutely.
So first of all, there's a lot of ways that deals could be created inside your CRM. You could create them manually. In HubSpot, you could use the business card scanner to create contacts and then manually create a deal from there. You could have specific forms on your website, like schedule a consultation or a demo or whatever, where, hey, we build automation that whenever somebody fills out this form, it creates this deal. Larger teams may have some logic for who to route and assign that to. In this case, I'm assuming it all goes to either you or Tammy, depending on the stage, Then, now this all of a sudden, this is a big thing about pipelines, and specifically the sales pipeline. A lot of people look at, why do we have deal pipelines? Well, we need to forecast, true, and then really outside of just trying to forecast and report on revenue, it really just kind of becomes project management for sales, where this is a tool that teams have to do because you just have to do it. We want to know where our deals stand. But the reality is that there's so many things that happen on the back end here that are important to build into the sales process and then later the service process. So when you complete an exploratory call, there's no way you can complete an exploratory call or your 90-day review without gathering really, really important information that you could use in the short term and the long term. You will gather things like the size of the business,
Right.
their industry, how they heard about you, their business model, right? Are they product-based? Are they B2B or direct-to-consumer? Do they sell products or services? Other information. Like, you can even start to, for you it's a little different, because for most businesses, the information that they gather during this exploratory phase is going to influence what products and services they recommend.
Me too, it's just one product.
For you, it's different. However, though, if you want to talk about your diagram of evangelism and advocacy,
Right.
that requires being able to stay in touch with your customers and nurture them, oftentimes with information that is most relevant to them. So here you have an opportunity to gather a bunch of information that is going to help you engage your prospects and customers in the short and long term. Again, size, industry, business type, revenue cycle, all of these other things that you know are going to help you deliver the services, and may also help you want to report on your growth, so you can start to look for commonalities of, hey, we're doing really well in this industry, or our closing ratio is kind of challenging for businesses in this size segment, or, right? So, and if you make it so that, go ahead.
I think I have two things for you on that. I think, so one, thank you for the light bulb. I do have a standard form that is part of my 90-minute meeting, where I gather that sort of demographic and psychographic data on the client. So immediately, like, yes, I need those fields in HubSpot to work on it. That's number one. Number two,
That form, when is that filled out? Before the meeting or during? During. Is it a paper form, or they do? Okay.
Well, it's on my Remarkable, but
Got it, yes.
It started its life as a PDF.
Got it, okay.
During the exploratory call, I do take my notes and foolishly not into HubSpot, but I should have a process whereby this is picked up by HubSpot. That's fine. That manual bridge is easy. So that's one. Number two, the tracking of clients as we're working on them. My 10-year target is $1 billion of client-side revenue growth.
Say that one more time.
My 10-year target is $1 billion of client-side revenue growth.
Cool.
So, my tote board of how much revenue my clients have grown in the 4 years that I've worked with them would be an important thing to know. Because right now,
This is going so well. You're leading. We're like left foot, right foot right now. You're leading.
No, but that's very interesting for me, obviously, because so those 8 questions of the Vision Traction Organizer, I look at that every single week, and then I look at the week ahead, and I think, do all of those activities make the 10-year target, 3-year picture, 1-year plan more likely to be real or less likely? The ones that are more likely, we double down on. The ones that are less likely, we decline the invitations, because it doesn't bring me closer to the goal. Mm-hmm. Now, it doesn't have to be linear, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like, well, this isn't about business, so no, I'm not taking the meeting, but it's just a really great gut check that I always look at, how do I get to $1 billion of client-side revenue growth?
I love this. This is awesome. All right, I just figured out I've never used this before, and I just figured out how to not only use the eraser before, but now change the color of this, which is awesome.
Unbelievable.
Okay, so actually, before I do that, I want to change it back. Do you know what it was before? I don't know.
I'm colorblind.
Oh, it was like this dark red, whatever. I have this new. What is it called when they're done? Onboarded, implemented?
Well, when they're done, they become clients.
You said the goal was for everybody to become, like,
80% strong.
I'm skipping ahead to the first diagram that you pulled up, where you said the goal is for all clients to, after 2 years, be
80% strong and be ready to graduate.
Graduated, that's the term. All right. So I'm looking at your sales pipeline right here, and maybe we have another stage for graduated. So there's a huge gap between closed won and graduated, right?
Yeah, I mean, that chasm could be anywhere from 18 months to 4 years.
Right.
My first client, my first focus day, so my first session, my 405th session was one client.
There you go.
They started 4 years ago and they graduated like a week ago.
Where do you learn more about the client? Where do you learn more information, understand them better, and have a stronger relationship with them? Is it
Curiosity.
from here to here in the sales process, or does it happen from here to here in the service process? Where do you learn more about your client?
It really happens, through the whole process. I mean, I'm constantly learning about them. I had a brand new client yesterday.
What's the average time it takes from somebody to meet you for the first time to sign a contract? Average sales cycle?
I can tell you that.
Ballpark. That's okay. Just ballpark. Couple weeks, couple months?
40 days.
40 days. What's the average once they sign with you that they're working with you?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would guess that you learn more about your clients in the 2 years of working with them than the 40 days of selling with them,
Well,
right?
yeah, because I open their books to me.
Right.
I'm in the session.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
So now there are a variety of things that, whether it's confidentiality or morally, like you don't want to put in your data every little thing that your clients share. I bet you they share some really personal stuff with you too that you would never log into a CRM. But here's the thing, what is true for you, the fact that most of the meat of the relationship, the activity, data collected, data that, when we say data collected, it almost sounds selfish, like we're trying to big brother you. But the reality is when you collect the right data on your clients the right way, it comes back to help them. Because you can use that data to segment them into different lists or trigger yourself reminders or trigger reminders to them based on certain scenarios, right? I'll give you an example. We do a lot of work with clients in the HR and payroll industry, right? If they are constantly updating their CRM through import or integration with valuable client data, such as how many employees they have, what products and services they're using, what states they have employees in. That becomes super valuable because now all of a sudden, if Connecticut passes a new paid sick leave law, I can immediately pull all of my clients who have employees in Connecticut and send them an email that reminds them about that.
Yep.
Is that marketing? Is that service? Is that sales? I don't really know. That's actually just being a good steward of relationships. But do you know what that means? That means that client, especially if that habit is processized and systematized, that client is going to be way more likely not to churn, to continue working with you. And they're going to be way more likely to refer. So the question is, what is it? And the answer is, well, if you're serving your clients right and solving for the customer, like in that flywheel, the lines between marketing and sales and service start to blur, and it just becomes doing what you do.
So it's interesting, there's this great book called Setting the Table. I forget the name of the guy that wrote it, but he started Shake Shack.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how good this book is. And he said that there's a giant difference between service and hospitality. What you're talking about is hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
And being from the Soviet Union, hospitality, right? That was a thing in my family. That was very, very important. That is what we try to do. We try to deliver everything at a high level. I try to deliver EOS sessions at a really high level. So a couple of things that are interesting is we did a survey, and some people said that the food that we serve is really, really great. And other people said the food that we serve could use a little more variety. And some people said, I feel like we don't get enough food. So I know that, I remember that, Tammy remembers that, it's probably written down somewhere, but it would make sense to figure out everybody's preferences to then know.
Yeah.
So when the session is coming up, it pops up and says, go get food from Panera, or stay with the catering program, or, you know, this team prefers panini, that team prefers chicken Caesar salad, or whatever it is.
I love that. Focus day, we have
FD, VD1, VD2. And then just
I'm gonna do Q.
Q,
And I'm just
annual for 2 days.
I'm gonna do annual, and then maybe I'll just do like, I don't know. I'll just put an O for ongoing. Okay. So you already have some version of a deal pipeline in HubSpot.
Done, right?
So what I first started talking about, you're already using. My guess is there's just knowing you and the way you think. Again, I want to take a look at it, but my guess is there's probably minimal work to be done there. The one area where I think I would almost guarantee there's an opportunity for improvement is the requirements.
Yeah.
So when you move a deal to a new stage, you can prevent the CRM from letting you do that until you feed it information. And sometimes that's just one thing, right? Like if me personally, I'm moving a deal to a connected, because I have a new stage, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm manually creating a deal, I'm creating it in the second stage, which is connected. But I have a new stage because we get leads that come in through our website and that book consultations with us through our meeting links. So we have automation that automatically creates those. So you need a place to receive the deal in the pipeline before you like physically look at it, right? But then I have like connected and scoped and then proposal sent and whatever. So like if I have to move a deal to connected, it must have a deal owner. It must have a deal type. Is this a new client? Is this a current client upsell? Is this a retainer renewal? Right. Whatever it is. What is the source of business? And what are they interested in? And it's a pick list, right? Because we sell about 8 things, right, on our agency. We do HubSpot implementation. We do ongoing HubSpot maintenance. We do like marketing and SEO and website audits. We do marketing retainers. We do website development. Like it's most of it, right? Yeah. So what are they interested in? Now I can immediately, like I physically can't create and work deals without that information being collected. So now I can report on my growth in a variety of different ways, and I can save that to the company records, right? So if I'm capturing that on the deal, I can run automation so that any time, so that you have deals, right? But you actually have a company, right? So we're gonna have Dunder Mifflin here, right? This is the company record. And there are contacts associated with that company. We have Michael Scott, and we have Jim Halpert, right? Now, these are the records that are always going to be in the CRM. There may be randomly an open deal for Dunder Mifflin. And when there's an open deal that's going through a process like this, that's what you're working. So you're logging information on this deal. You're logging some information that is only specific to that deal, but sometimes you may be logging information that is like permanent information about that company. Right. That is always a paper company with 17 employees in Scranton, Pennsylvania, or whatever. I know they had a bunch of branches from the show, but so as much as possible, you want to automate. I don't know how to draw an automation, but that little spiral.
I was just thinking, that's pretty good.
It's just automate, you know? Yeah. You know, maybe just like with the arrow. That's automation. There you go. You want to automatically send stuff into there. So that's one thing, right? No wasted energy. The best tool is the one that you can actually use. So I know you have a small team. It's just you and Tammy. It's still important, but it's even more important as the team becomes bigger, and you have to depend more on other people to use the CRM the way it's intended. As you know, right, more people adds complexities to ensure consistency of following processes, which is key for scaling. So that's one thing that you want to do is like push all of that there. But what I'm saying is maybe you have another pipeline. So that way, as soon as a deal is closed won, you run an automation to put a new deal in a new pipeline. So this is your sales pipeline, and this is your delivery pipeline. So you can only move a deal to here, but then this is where you track all of the major milestones of the actual process, the actual engagement, not project. And then this, once it's won, I accidentally erased this, I think. Once this is won, this can only move here. You can't move this manually. This will only move from won to graduated whenever you've moved this into graduated. And now you can go from very strategic to very silly. So let's say we have our focus day. Like, what information do you capture? Can you pull up, are you able to pull up the thing that you had up here before? Because you had some really good stuff in there about,
So yeah, we talk about hitting the ceiling, the accountability chart, rocks, meeting pulse, and scorecard.
There you go. So there could be, you may not need to capture everything, but what if all you had to do every time you finished a focus day was just move a deal or a ticket or however you wanted to structure it in your CRM into focus day complete, boom. And then it requires you to say whatever, anything that's relevant to keep on that master client record.
Right, so that's what's really interesting is because, so session counts are a very interesting thing because that gives me lifetime value which is a measurable that right now I have to grab manually. I have an Excel sheet right now, or sheet, where I have my capacity planning and I have all of my projections based on session loads. I have 6 cadences that people can be on. So imagine a quarter, right, 3 months, and imagine splitting the months. So cadence 1A is January 1 to 15, which then means they tend to want to be in April 1 to 15, and tend to want to be in July 1 to 15, and tend to want to be in October 1 to 15. So there are limitations on those because if someone is in cadence 2B, that hits Thanksgiving, which...
But it's still approximately the same schedule. There's still, 30 days, 30 days, 30 days, 90. Yeah.
But the thing is, once you get locked into a cadence, like everybody wants to be on the 15th of the first month of the quarter. Because it feels like they have the whole quarter, they can end the quarter on a fiscal quarter because that's how they think.
Oh, I see.
So they want their 90-day world to mimic their sort of quarterly world, which can't happen because that's really, for me, only 1/6 of my clients do I have room for in that quarter. So it's very interesting to understand client load, session days. There's lots to unpack. So what I'm thinking is, I love that idea because that will allow me to take a lot of stuff off of sheets and into, so it's interesting, like I read this great book called Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte, and it talks about sort of like the everything book. And he has this great method, like I was able to pull up my notes for what I want to talk to you about because I have it in projects. Because those are the things that I'm thinking about.
No, keep going.
So
I'm going to explain what that means.
Yeah, no, that's really, really cool. Because then my HubSpot could become my everything where I'm managing the entirety of the practice.
You could do a lot more just based off of a trigger date. When you said like, hey, I don't know what the sequence or the track, but like I either want to start in January or I want to start in November or whatever. They used to like to line it up on, I think you said the 15th day of the first month of the quarter, right?
That's what most people want, but only one can happen.
I mean, you could even streamline how these meetings get booked. With Sales Hub Professional or higher or Service Hub Professional or higher, any person who has a seat can create up to 1,000 different meeting scheduling links.
Right.
Okay, just like Calendly, right? Mm-hmm. You've probably use it or you're familiar with it.
I have a Calendly. So one of the things, but remember, service versus hospitality. This is, I do not want to automate my way out of that personal touch. Because the personal touch that we have with our clients, because the work we're doing is very meaningful for us, for them, I don't want it to just auto-sequence. Like there's an art form, like the way Tammy manages my client load. There's an art form to it. I want to give her tools. I want to give me visibility, but I do not want it to be like, well, once you hit this, then.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's really, really high touch. And here's the other thing. In terms of scale, I've been at this for 4 years. I've worked with 57 clients. I've probably had 100 prospects in this whole thing, which is the next thing that I want to build, is go back and rebuild all of the prospects so I can see what my real win rates were.
Yeah.
Because that's super important.
Yeah.
Because that's a good give back to the community too. Because people show up and they're like, I'm scared. I'm like, here's what this looks like. This is how much fishing you have to do before you catch a fish. That's why it's called fishing and not catching. Right? So I'm only working with 35 clients at a given time. So it's not like I have 1,000 clients and I need to be able to automate and blah, 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 blah. I'm only working 160 days a year, like 160 session days a year. That's it.
That's wonderful.
It is. But what I'm saying is it doesn't require, like this is, it doesn't require high levels of automation. It requires high level, like I love the gates. Like I need this information before you move to the next thing. I love that. I love the flow. I don't want for the computer to be doing something that the humans are better at.
Understood. I generally lean toward, I recommend automation for mostly procedural things. It could very well be in your world that you want to manually schedule all of those meetings, and that's fine. But there's still benefits. There's ways that you can use some of that automation that does not replace your outreach to your clients. So again, going back to this, hey, I know what I need to capture during Focus Day, Vision Board 1, Vision Board 2, quarterly, whatever it may be. So these could be things that, goals they've set. You said you want to track revenue growth. Yeah. Are you able to constantly go back and log how their revenue has grown? Because if you can,
looking through remarkable pages,
you could have starting revenue and then capture and it'll automatically calculate for you. You can feed it back to them. That'll help you build case studies. You can congratulate them once they've hit their goals. Revenue goal, boom, right? And here's the thing. Yes, when things happen, such as, hey, it's been 30 days since our focus day, and like the CRM could say, again, if you start with these trigger dates and you build in logic like this day, and then this happens 30 days after, then this happens 30 days after, and this happens 90 days after, you absolutely could. The CRM could notice, oh, look, Focus Day is more than 25 days ago, and there is no Vision Board 1 meeting scheduled.
Alert.
So I am going to email the client as Stas and say, hi, James. Super excited to get this Vision Board 1 day scheduled. Please click here, schedule it. Let me know if you have any questions. Or if Tammy or somebody else has to do that, then it can just alert you or alert Tammy and then report to a dashboard, and it's all active clients, and you can have a table of, hey, these are all the clients. This is their latest milestone. This is the date of their last meeting. This is the date of their next meeting, right? And like have all of that in place. Now we're also capturing all of those things so you can report on that. And here's the other thing. My guess is, in part because it's what I can sense about the business and also what I can sense about you, is you seem like the type of guy where like your clients are always your clients. Even if they're done and not paying you, you probably still like have that relationship, right? And it doesn't mean you're giving stuff away for free, but like you probably stay in touch with them. I'm sure you do that too. Yeah. But it doesn't, right? Like, so I bet those are people that like you would love to occasionally send a monthly newsletter or a quarterly roundup or a great success story and like keep people in the community, right? So the more you can, yes, you could always just send a timely email blast to everybody who has ever been a client, at any time. Yeah. But by doing it this way, you can capture like prospects versus customers, graduated versus not. You can segment them by where they are in the process, right?
Segment them by where they sit on the accountability chart.
All
which
of
is
that.
super important.
All
And
of
then
that.
adding another layer, forgetting the business thing for a second, like the poster that's behind me is EOS Life, right? Doing what you love, with people you love, making a big difference, being compensated appropriately with time for other passions. My other passions is connecting other entrepreneurs. So I have a thing that I started called Founders Dinner. It was another EOS implementer out of Boston gave me the idea. I started doing it a few years ago, and I've since started a podcast called Founders Dinner.
I like it.
But the Founders Dinner is a bunch of guys and gals getting together. Not everybody runs on EOS. All of them are friends of mine. And we get together and we just have an absolute rip. And connections get made and they're completely organic, and like I'll make the occasional introduction, or I think you should talk to him but otherwise you just like get a bunch of people, pour wine on it, and it works.
It works.
So that's the other thing, like I have founders dinners list, there's lots of other things that I want to be able to do. I want to be able to send an email to all of my marketing folks saying, hey, listen, there's this new video about CRMs, and like I know what CRMs are, and I learned a lot, right? That sort of thing.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So all my marketers should get that. All of my sales guys should get content from like my friends in Sales Acceleration. Right, I should be forwarding it to them as a service, both to my clients and to my friends.
The other thing too is, do you have quarterly rocks for your own business?
Of course.
So I'm sure a lot of your quarterly rocks revolve around client volume, performance, and other health metrics.
Building out a CRM.
So yeah, there you go. Like, what about your dashboard that has in here, right, all of your reports, you got your pie charts here, your meters, right? All of these fancy reports, bar graph, line chart, right? You can have a dashboard that updates live and in real time because you've done it this way. And now a lot of times we talk about reporting and analytics at the end. Why? Because if you want to build out a report of all active clients based on size, well, you first need to systematize the way you're going to collect that data so that it's accurate and universal, right? I could build a report for that, but it'll be blank, right? I got to create those custom fields. I got to make them required. I need to build automation so that when it's captured on a deal, it copies over to the company and whatever, right? Well, and once you do that, you can report on it. So a lot of times we get to reporting and analytics at the end. However, sometimes it's also the cheat sheet on where to begin. Begin with the end in mind. By understanding what we'll just use an EOS term. What are your quarterly rocks? Well, by defining those, then that should be very instructive. And maybe your annual goes as well, right? Because usually you probably want dashboards that you're going to look at for more than one quarter. But you can break it down one by one each quarter, or you can have like your big time, like ongoing consistent metrics. So we want to bring on X amount of clients.
Yeah,
we want to graduate X amount, and then all of these other things, like that can update in real time because it's captured here. And now your sales, your service, your marketing is all one thrust.
I have a well-defined scorecard that is in 90.io, which, activity-based leading indicators of performance, right? What are the things that I need to do to keep the business on track, right? I need a certain number of focus days booked every year because I have a certain amount of graduations, right? So I need to keep that thing going. So I have that scorecard is built, and this could vomit up the data into my scorecard because this is where it's all gonna live.
Do you want to clear this, by the way?
What's that?
Do you want to clear this? Like wipe this whole thing clear? Like erase this whole screen?
You want a new one?
Yes, please.
Just hit the plus button.
Brilliant.
Clear.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You were going there.
No, that's good. No, this is really exciting and eye-opening because obviously I understand what's going on. I can't do it in the technology, but I like your thought pattern. I like where you're going with actually the operating system of the business.
So here's how I'm going to try and sum it up for you. One, deal pipeline. This is low-hanging fruit. You already have one. And by the way, this is whether you're doing it on your own, we're helping you, or this is regardless of who's doing it, when, whatever. Low-hanging fruit, you're already using HubSpot for a deal pipeline. Let's audit the deal pipeline. Let's figure out if there's any opportunities for us to be capturing more data or automating more internal tasks or notifications to Stas or Tammy.
Yes and yes.
Boom, 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 right?
No question.
So that's one thing. Number two, I'll call this the service pipeline. So this is the other thing that I wrote down here, right? That automatically a record is created in that pipeline as soon as it's closed won, and you're tracking the major milestones of where a customer is at on their EOS journey, all the way through graduation. Yeah. And is it graduation and done, or is it graduation and ongoing still? Because you talk.
Graduation and annual, yeah. So
yeah, exactly.
This would be our implementation pipeline.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. I just want to make you write it with, damn. Just make you write implementation.
Oh, I'll do it.
Fine.
I'll do it. Don't threaten me with a good time. So perfect. Deal pipeline, implementation pipeline. Those are the first two. That's going to unlock so much. These are two load-bearing walls inside your CRM. Mm-hmm. Now, I know you have some feelings about automating things that humans should do, and I generally fall on that side. However, what I also think it should be done is some type of efficiency audit. And that does not mean having to replace all human interaction with automated action. Efficiency audit, how can we use the tools, just starting here on delivering, of just being more efficient. So what does that mean? Email templates. Sequences. So a sequence is basically an automated way to send emails to one-on-one prospects. So I can build a sequence of up to 5 different emails that come from me, enroll you in it. I don't know if you're going to have a ton of use case for that, but you might. They are most used by traditional outbound sales. Like, I met you at a conference or a networking event and I want to book a demo with you. So I've got your business card, add you to CRM, enrolled you in a sequence, and it's automating a series of emails until you reply or book a meeting. So there could be...
Unsubscribe.
Well, it's not unsubscribe because it's not a marketing email. It's literally a one-to-one email. So it's a little different.
So that's wired in as if it's coming from me, not from a .HubSpot.
It's literally indistinguishable as from whether you sent it from Gmail or Outlook or whatever.
Okay.
Yes. So there could be use cases for that. Service teams use sequences to remind people of like important milestones and things like that. Like, hey, will you please, like, honestly, Tammy could write her own sequence to remind clients when they have to book an annual review. So if you have an annual client, maybe 30 days before the meeting needs to start, she creates a sequence of 2 or 3 or 4 emails with a link to book that meeting, and it'll just keep running until they book it. And she writes it herself.
Right.
So now it's like, okay, as soon as somebody's 30 days out, and because again, going back to the pipeline.
Right, yeah, you see
if they're in this stage, right, and it's like, hey, this is when the annual meeting needs to happen, and it's 30 days out and the meeting isn't booked, then maybe what this does is it creates a task for Tammy to say, hey, they need to, 30 days out, not booked, make sure they book it, then she just enrolls them in a sequence. So she does that with 3 clicks, and it's still human because she wrote the damn sequence and it comes from her exact email address.
Yeah.
Right? Meeting scheduling. That's huge. Honestly, you can create a different meeting link for every single type of meeting that you have.
Right.
Focus day, 1, 2, 3, what? And then you can literally report on not just your activity volume, but a client's activity by type, by volume, things like that. And sometimes it just makes scheduling things easier, right? So that's something to look at.
Yes.
And then the last thing, we'll do our favorite little automation drawing. That's automation, right? And when we do automation, 80% to 90% of the automation that we build for ourselves and our clients inside the CRM is not external communication. It is updating things inside the CRM to minimize manual data entry. That's pretty much what we do.
Right.
Deal pipeline, implementation pipeline, efficiency audit. Lists and reports. Now that you have systematized ways to not only conduct outreach more effectively, but also capture information, let's figure out how to put those into different buckets. If you can think of anything you would want a list for, I want a list of clients under 100 employees who have started within the last 90 days. I don't know. Maybe that means something to you, maybe it doesn't.
Right. I understand.
But now we build those lists, we build those reports. Visibility, segmentation. A lot of power. These are the building blocks of an organized CRM. And then the fun part. Marketing. Because how do you send marketing emails? You got to send them to lists. And those are often contextual, and sometimes it's simple, all active clients, all clients past or active. But sometimes you're going to want to send a very, very specific message to a very specific subsegment of people. So start with email marketing, then you can explore the other tools, whether it's pop-up forms on your website, landing pages, blogs, things like that. This is a much longer and conditional phase because it depends on a lot of variables. Yeah. But this is definitely where we would look next. So this right here, this would be the roadmap for you. And then assuming that like training and activation goes into this, because if we're gonna like map out a deal and an implementation pipeline, some people would have responsibilities. Like when a focus day is complete, somebody would need to be responsible for just moving over the deal and then populating whatever information. So that's important. Mm-hmm. That's the vision for you. Your business is already extremely efficient.
It is.
Much, much more than probably any client that I come into, right? So, but I still think there's tremendous gains that could be had here, and honestly, a little bit more than I was expecting coming into that. Like, when a lot of the clients that we do this for, like, they don't have almost any of this, and they don't have the EOS mindset, and right, like it's almost too much too soon, where it's like, if anything, it's like, okay, I'm bought into all of this, but this is a big change, so we need to phase it out. This is something that you could do in 90 to 120 days, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Not during annual season, but yeah.
Whenever, yeah.
But right, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the deal pipeline, I'd love for you to audit the deal pipeline. I think I have some things that have some fixes that need to happen just because I don't know how to operate inside of HubSpot. But, you know, I mean, my list is very easy of the stuff that we need to do. One of my rocks last quarter was, you know, the BD process, right? So from prospect to warm lead to client to annual only client, you know, to graduate to evangelist, right? I have my deal stages and how it splits is ready, what's missing. Like it's, you know, done.
We can also track referral partners.
Yeah, that's huge. Because most of my business comes from referrals, and I want to be able to put the person that referred me into the deal, not put the person. Like,
so what you do is you create a custom association label called referring contact for contacts and referring company for companies. So I could show you an example, but if I have you your deal, right? And this is a deal for Stas. There would be normally let's say 2 contacts. I have Stas and Tammy are the contacts associated with this deal, but James referred it to me. So I'm gonna have James. James is already in my CRM because he's another one of my clients, and he's associated with his company, Dunder Mifflin. Well, James referred it to me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to associate James with this deal, but I'm going to apply a different association label. These association labels by default will be primary, but this one is going to say referring contact. So now what I do is if the source of a deal, and again, remember, I'm saying that I can't create a deal unless I say the source.
Right.
So that deal is going to be flagged for me if it's going to say, yo, you said that this was a referral, but you have not associated a referring contact or company. So it's going to keep reminding me until I actually associate it. Now I associate the referring contact, maybe the referring company, and now I have a referral leaderboard. And I have, here's anybody who's ever referred me a deal. Here's the number of deals they've referred me. This person's referred me 5, 4, 7, 1, and the total revenue.
Yeah.
You have a referral partner, date of first referral, date of last referral, total number of referred deals, total number of referred closed deals, win ratio.
Now you're just showing off.
Win ratio. Hey, this one referral partner has sent me 27 deals, but I've closed 17% of them. But this other one has sent me 9, and I've closed 8 out of 9. So I can trust these deals more. There you go. Yeah, see, this can all be streamlined into the CRM, and all you have to do is associate the person who refers it, and then all of these will generate.
Like, look at the BD source, the lower right, the pie chart.
Yeah.
Right? 7% referred to me, 15% client, 1 referred by a friend, 21% were friends, 14% were referred by another EOS implementer, 15% by EOS warm leads, 8% from Vistage. 10% referred by a connector, and 1 microsite submission. So in terms of inbound,
it's literally like this little sliver, the microsite submission and the reach out to me is probably everything else. These are just different ways to analyze referrals.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So now if on James, because now I'm reporting on the referring contacts like I was showing you, right?
I get these confused all the time, and I've actually written on that with the dry erase, and have tried to write on my desk with this thing.
It's too many fancy tools.
Too many tools.
Too many fancy
But
tools.
this is what I'm trying to build right now. So when you ask me, so first contact to 90-minute meeting to focus day, right? So days VTH to 90, so days first contact to 90.
This will all calculate automatically.
I know. Well, I don't have all the data right now. I've been rebuilding it, but like this is the sort of stuff that should be in the
Yeah,
CRM.
this is pissing me off that it's not done now. Now I want to do it.
Hey, listen, all I want to do is make a service provider mad.
You're closer than almost anybody I've done this with to, like, I don't want to say the promised land, because in reality this is a process, not a project. And I always say, like, using HubSpot's like sweeping a dirt floor. You can make progress, but you're never really done, right? You can always tweak and refine and evolve and whatever. But in terms of just like getting you to like a well-oiled machine that in some instances it's taken us 2 years or longer to get some clients there, you could do that inside of a couple of months.
Yeah.
I say 3. I would say 3 to 6 months. You could just be like.
Yep. Yeah, I have you can see how embarrassed I am by this. I use the pie charts to cover column I. Look what column I is.
Narrative.
Yeah, like, because I was like, I can't put notes in here. This is ridiculous. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's your status, right? Pause, graduated, active, quit, fired. Sources, referrals, blah, blah, blah.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's great. And then what I really want to do, the real give back to the community, is to build that first contact 90-minute meeting focus day dates. Because I have had some that you'll look at and they're like 408 days. And others are like 2. This one, right? Called me on 12/27, did a 90-minute meeting on 12/29, and then had a focus day.
And
on
they
1/2.
graduated early.
And then graduated
That's
early.
crazy.
But you know what? That's really interesting. That's a great pickup. People that are super, super quick to act, maybe super, super quick to leave. So that could be a red flag.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, wait a second, why is this happening on the first day?
No, honestly, there's so many
That's an interesting
parallels
pickup.
to personal relationships and business, and I've had the same thing. I had like a client who was like one call close, and then that was like one of the most pain in the neck clients because he just didn't really think through all of the things, and it was like a red flag, right? Like, are you really thinking through the importance of this and what it revolves, and like if you're not. But then again, for you though, like I could also see somebody who's like quick. I could also see them in some instances being the best client because it's like
Because they're like, yeah, I'm in. I'm committed.
like I am so sick of staying up till 1 a.m. That's it. I'm done. Like I am leaning into this.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, we have, the reason I started doing this is because I finally hit statistical significance. Right, like
Where's
my
enough
N
of the-
was large enough where I
Yeah.
could look at it and actually glean something. At 20 clients, at 30 clients, you're like, I don't have statistical significance. It's all wonky.
Yeah, this has got to be good.
I love it.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions for me?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
How do we do it?
yeah. How much and when can you start?
All right.
Really?
Well, we can take that offline, and but I think I don't know. I really appreciate this. This was fun. I don't know.
I love this.
I love that. I energized. I could tell you did too, and
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's my very first, just like recorded real strategy session, and thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. This is great.